Wario Land 4 is easy to recommend, but not for the reason people usually reach for. The main question is not which version is the most authentic. It is whether there is a clean legal way to play it now, and yes, there is. The catch is that Nintendo has put that answer behind a subscription, not a normal purchase. If you want to play Wario Land 4 legally today, the version to start with is the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Classics release on Switch. In the US, that means Nintendo Switch Online plus the expansion pack. That is the mainstream official route that was actually verified. No separate a la carte Switch purchase was verified, so this is not one of those cases where you can just buy the game and move on. That point matters because old Wii U pages still float around and can make the whole thing look more confusing than it is. Those pages are not a fresh buy path now. They matter mainly because they still show up in search and mislead people into thinking there are more current options than there really are. So, the recommendation is simple. If you want to play Wario Land 4 today without messing around with legacy hardware, use the Switch Nintendo Classics version. Why that version? Because it is the only clearly verified mainstream option, and it adds the kind of convenience features that actually help here. Nintendo's documented extras include suspend points and rewind. That is not just nice to have polish. It fits this game unusually well. The purest answer is still the original Game Boy Advance cartridge on real hardware. That remains the baseline version, and if you already own the setup and actively want original hardware play, fine. But that is not the practical recommendation for most people. It adds friction without solving any real problem for a new player. The Wii U Virtual Console version is even less useful as advice. If you already own it, sure, re-download it. Otherwise, it is not the route to send people down. The real thing a first-time player needs to know is this: Wario Land 4 is not hard to understand, but it is very easy to approach the wrong way. The friction is not mainly the controls, it is the structure. You do not want to play your first run like a slow, tidy completionist platformer where you poke into every corner and expect the stage to sit there patiently while you optimize everything. That is where the game can feel harsher or stranger than expected. The important rhythm is that you explore, learn the gimmicks, hit the switch, and then the level turns into a timed escape. That shift is the adjustment. If you know that going in, the game makes a lot more sense. Treat your early runs as learning runs. Figure out the space. Understand the route back out. Do not assume your first pass should also be your perfect pass. This is exactly why the Switch version is the best place to start. Suspend points and rewind. Take some sting out of that learning curve without changing the game's basic structure. As for whether it is still worth playing now, yes, with caveats. What still works is that it is brisk, funny, and structurally distinct. The transformation gimmicks are readable, the stages have a sharp rhythm. It does not feel interchangeable with Mario or Donkey Kong, and that matters more than heritage points. What may stop modern players is also clear. The best legal option is subscription-gated, and the timer-driven escape emphasis is not going to charm everyone. If you dislike that kind of pressure, this is a very real warning, not a footnote. But if the subscription model is acceptable to you, and the idea of a platformer built around that switch and escape loop sounds interesting rather than annoying, Wario Land 4 still earns the time. Start on Switch, expect a little friction at the moment the timer starts, and do not let legacy store pages send you in circles.